Hello and welcome back to the finish line. It's back. Racing is back. We're going to kick off. Going to get straight into it. No, this rigmarole. 2,000 guineas. Let's go for it. Do we think Pinatubo will win? Tom, yes or no?
Say his name again.
Pinatubo. Pinatubo.
Say it again.
Pinatubo. I can't.
Pinatubo. There's no L.
Pinatubo, is it?
Pinatubo on this. I'll have a Toblerone with you. He'll be best.
Will Pinatubo win? Probably yes.
Stop that, Tom.
What?
I said stop that now.
I'd say he'd probably win. Like, he's the most likely winner in the race.
Yeah, but you're not backing him. You're backing something each way. So, like, come on.
Yeah, I'm backing. Oh, you want my each way tip?
No.
Okay.
Wait, before we get into the age-old question. Do you think he's trained on? There's a lot of... The majority of people are saying he was so good as a 2-year-old. He can't really progress that much. Like, he's been the top rated... He's been rated higher than Frankel as a 2-year-old.
I don't think he's big enough to train on and go further on from where he has been. I could be proved wrong on Saturday, but Frankel was a different kettle of fish altogether. He was a massive horse that had a load of growing into to do. Some of the other 2-year-olds that were super impressive throughout the years have come out and bombed out then and never been the same as 3-year-olds. So I kind of expect the same happen to Pinatubo.
Like, what was the one Aidan O'Brien had?
Air Force Blue.
Blues. Reminds me of him. He's small and nippy as a 2-year-old. Beat everything out of sight. Then just lost the plot. But we could be wrong. We won't know until the day.
I'd say people that have like good prices on him from last year, anti-post, are happy enough, but there's no way you could be backing him at
He's
4 to 5 or whatever he is for Saturday.
Best price 10 to 11. Right, I'll go through best Pinatubo. There you go. Happy?
That's better.
Pinatubo 10 to 11. Arizona 6s. Chemical 15 to 2. Kinross 14s. Witcher 14s and 16 to 1 bigger the rest. Value in that now to me is Chemical. 100% 15 to 2. Each way. I don't do each way, but I can't see him being out of the top 3. His win in the Racing Post Trophy, admittedly it was on the all-weather, was impressive. And he wasn't stopping at the line. The only worry is that he improved so much at racing. And he's related to Roaring Lion, and he reminds me of the way Roaring Lion used to run. He used to be dirt on his first run of the season, and then progress. But with the lockdown, I think they're going to have no choice but to have him ready now. They surely have to have him racecourse gallop somewhere, or they have facilities in the training hours these days to have him cherry ripe for these races. And I think they will have to if they have. If they don't want to leave the breeding side behind of it. You were just saying off camera that you don't think some will have the horses cherry ripe for this.
I actually don't. No, I don't think some will be cherry ripe. I like what you said about Chemical, but I do worry as well the fact that he's related to Roaring Lion. Roaring Lion was a couple of years back, and he didn't win the Guineas. He didn't win first time out in the Craven Stakes that year, and he didn't win the Derby, and then he ended up being the best 3-year-old colt anyway from the grade ones he won from there. So that wouldn't worry me about Chemical, but
arguably Chemical looks better at this stage of his career than Roaring Lion did.
Yeah, well, Oisin Murphy was raving about him, and he rode Roaring Lion. So
I'm glad you like Chemical. Because that leads on to something very nice, very nicely to my
Tom, I know who you're going to tip.
So do I. Aidan O'Brien's horse. That was second to him.
We're all in agreement here on this.
No.
Go on.
It is an Aidan O'Brien horse. Okay, straight to it. Look, my tip for this: Pinatubo is the most likely winner. There is a high chance, I think, that he doesn't train on. There's a very high chance he doesn't train on. That's why I could not get involved with the prices. I've looked for something else to go against him. Arizona looks a horse who will improve from 2 to 3, but he was beaten twice by Pinatubo at the Coronation Newmarket. He's a short enough price he's maybe the one who could put it up to him, but you know, there's not much value there. I don't think there's an each way bet. Kamiko is interesting. The stable really like him. Another horse there. We're on about horses who aren't going to be wound up fully maybe for this. I think Military March falls into that. I think this is his prep run for the Derby. I put him up on our anti-post or our ones to watch for the flat. I only put 3 of them in for our ones to follow for the flat. But he was one of them, and I do like him for the Derby. He's one to keep an eye on. I'm going to take... I was looking for a horse last night and this morning to take a wild punt on, and that horse is Royal Dornoch.
We just said that and he said no.
No, but you said he came second. He actually bet Kamiko. You were wrong.
Okay, sorry. Kamiko was second to him.
He bet Kamiko in the Royal Lodge at Newmarket, and that was his last run. Kamiko's gone on and had another run, won the Bertrand for Charity up at Newcastle. All of a sudden, Kamiko is 7-1. Royal Dornoch is 33-1. You can argue Kamiko has a much nicer profile than Royal Dornoch does, which he probably does. But 33-1 for me is way too big. They actually broke the juvenile track record at Newmarket that day. So the ground is going to be quick. He goes on fast ground. He's always started a big price anyway. I'd say he seems to find a lot off the bridle. I'd suggest he's a bit lazy at home. He's always started a big price. He's never been the first choice of the stable jockey. Tom Marconda's on him, which is Tom's a fantastic rider. There's no worries there. You know, he was highly campaigned last season as well. He was taken over to the UK 3 times, I think. He was third in the Richmond Stakes at Goodwood off over 6 furlongs. So he's not that slow. He was last there at halfway, and he stayed on all the way to the line, but to be third. He then went and won his maiden well at Goran, I think it was. That was a decent race, I think. There was a couple of horses in there who had been placed in good maidens at the likes of the Curragh on their previous starts. And I just think, like, there's always one that throws it up to them. Aiden's aren't a lack for any fitness. They've gallops at home that model the likes of Newmarket and Chester and Epsom, so they've everything there to get them fit. I think he's going to be fit and ready to rock. The fact that they're taking him over there is a positive. He's 33-1. It's just too big, really.
I don't disagree with you either. I, for one, think that's just my son asking me to have sweets. Yes, go on. Close the door, man.
He knows when to get you.
Oh, he knows when to go into.
There isn't the hope in hell he would have said yes if the video wasn't on.
Oh, anyway, yeah, I agree with you. I think he's way overpriced for the form he has with Kamiko. I'd gladly take. For once, I actually agree with you on an each way shot. He's a cracking each way shot at 33s, so he's going to finish stone last now.
Yeah, he's got
he has no chance there.
I went through this last night as well, and I totally agree with what you're saying about Arizona, Tom. I think looks like he's going to make a better 3-year-old, and I think all of Paddy Doyle think he might make a better 3-year-old. I would say he's probably a better horse than Royal Dornoch, but I don't know if he'll be fully wound up for the Guineas, and he might get better as the season goes on, maybe over 1 mile 2 races. I was looking like you to try an angle at this, and I like Kamiko, I like Arizona, but the bigger prices appeal to me. With the way the season has gone, and it's hard to know what's ready, and Aiden can get one ready for the Guineas. Royal Dornoch's form of Kamiko, it's there. He's thrown in a few bad runs, a few good runs, so you don't know what you're going to get. But I think the angle I found with him is I think he'll lead. I think he'll be the pacemaker for Arizona. And numerous times, O'Brien pacemakers don't go backwards. He might not win, but at 33-1, you could easily get second or third. Pinatubo might win, but I think Royal Dornoch will be the pacemaker and will stay up there. And I'd also give a shout to Roger Thiel's horse, Kenzai Warrior. Not the biggest trainer in the world, but he had a tip to win to come second, I think, to Saxon Warrior in the Guineas a few years back, and he was like 66-1. So he knows when he's a decent horse, and he actually has said that Kenzai Warrior is probably a better horse than what Tip to Win was at that stage of his career.
I've seen they've got that New World Tapestry in there as well. So I'd say
I'd say he'll lead.
I'm hoping he makes the run.
Yeah, he will.
I wouldn't mind if Royal Dornoch was up there. I think he'll keep going anyway. He definitely wants a mile. So.
You said, sorry Andrew, you said as well about he finds a lot off the bridle. His sire Glen Eagles was the same. His sire Glen Eagles won the Guineas, but he never looked like he did things really fast. I remember that year Ryan, he was pushing away from 3 furlongs out and he just stayed on the whole way till the line then, but didn't exactly get 1 mile 2. He just seemed to get 1 mile, but do it kind of the tough way.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement with him. When you go through it again, 33 for his form in the bag, and his last run was a win over Kamiko. Like, as I say with Arizona, I wouldn't touch him at 6-1. Like, he's beaten fair and square twice by Pinatubo. Like 9 lengths and then 2 lengths in Newmarket at the end of the season, where Pinatubo could have had enough of the season as it is. He has to improve a lot already and hope that Pinatubo doesn't improve at all to get anywhere near him. So at 6s, I can't have him any day of the week. So I'm quite keen on Kamiko and Royal Dornoch for this.
Yeah, it's Royal Dornoch for me each way. He was 70 on Betfair just before they closed the anti-post market. So hopefully he comes in. I took a little bit of that. So
you on the 70s?
Keep an eye out for Military March running a nice race for the Derby, hopefully.
And I think keep an eye out for Mum's Tipple to run a nice race and then come back out and win the Commonwealth Cup in 10 days' time after that.
Really?
Yeah. This is a prep run for the Commonwealth Cup. 100% the sprinter.
Don't like that horse. Anyway, Kamiko?
Royal Dornoch each way.
Royal Dornoch each way, yeah.
Right. On to the 1,000 guineas. So we have, I should have this ready already. 1,000 guineas is here. Quadrilateral, 3s, love, 5s, how do I say it? Missile. Millile. 6s, peaceful, 10s, raffle priced, 12s and 14-1, bigger the rest. I, for one, are finding it very hard to get away from Quadrilateral. I've looked at this race for about 20 minutes last night, and every time I went back over, I just kept landing on Quadrilateral. The way she won at Newmarket last time when beating Love back in the third, she didn't get the clearest to run. She was switched out, she got hampered a small bit, and she ran on to win on the line, but she was winning going away. I take 3-1 gladly, and I don't like backing in for first time out in group races, but to me, I can't see anything really troubling her.
Yeah, Andrew, I am with you on this one as well. I was looking at her last night, was watching her videos back. She's another one. She comes off the bridle, but she really finds when she does come off the bridle. She's by Frankel. She bolted up at Newbury before she went and won the fillies mile at Newmarket. She that day, I don't know how she won.
Yeah.
She got a bit far back. She had to be switched. The winner looked like he'd flown, and then she just took off. Now the only thing that worries me with this filly is that did she find it a bit difficult coming down the dip there? She didn't seem to quicken as they came down into the dip, and that's where she lost a few lengths, and then she flew on once she met the rising ground. That's the only thing that would put me off. But apart from that, I think she's a scopy filly as well. She's a bit of a big filly. She could well improve from 2 to 3, and I think she's going to take the world of beating. And I don't want to go in too hard on her now and put the kibosh on her too much, but I think she could be very good.
Yeah,
I think she could really, really improve, and I think she could be. We've seen some very, very nice fillies recently, Enable and the like, and what was the See the Stars filly?
See a Class.
See a Class, She reminds me of something that might be a bit like See a Class. I could see her being very, very good.
Like if you take into account she's undefeated, and then she's 3-1, and then you look at the 2000, Pinatubo is undefeated, but he's odds on, and that looks a harder race than this does.
I would much rather back this mare. She's only 3-1 in the place. She's 5-2 most places. But I would much rather have a good lash at this mare now at 5-2 than Pinatubo any day of the week.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I'm all over. Dave?
I go with the same form. I think the Filly's Mile form is the form to go with, but I will go for Aiden's horse, Love.
Can you really think she can turn it around? She was
I do. Yeah,
fair and square.
It wouldn't. It doesn't bother me at all if an Aidan O'Brien filly is beat. He is an absolute master of training fillies. The amount of times I look at this race, and I actually like the 1,000 guineas. Angles again at decent prices, and I looked through this last night, and I think the top two are a good bit better than what's in the race. I'd be majorly surprised if Quadrilateral or Love don't win. One of them doesn't win. It wouldn't surprise me if they're 1 and 2. Mill Isle's a good horse, but she's a sprinter. Her form with Traubeau, I think she's a sprinter too. She showed that in the French 1,000 guineas. She travelled really well, and then there wasn't a whole lot left at the end. Raffle Prize is a sprinter.
Do you think so? I'm going to contradict you now that I think Raffle Prize is going to improve for a step up. There's a lot of long distance winners on the dam side, and I think even looking back at her races, she was caught for speed when horses went by her. I think this is going to suit her, and at 12, that's the one I was going to put up again as an each way shot at 12s. I was looking through a pedigree. There's a lot of 1 mile plus winners on the dam side. I think she could be a surprise package. They thought a lot of her last season.
She's a good horse, there's no doubt about it. But I'm not sure a 5 furlong winner at Royal Ascot is going to stay a mile then.
Stranger things have happened.
But Love for me, it doesn't bother me she got bet. She lost a couple of races, won a couple of races. She's some good form in Ireland. The Moyglaire Stud Stakes is one of the best fillies races. It's a 2-year-old race to follow for form. Aidan has numerous fillies that will come out, win a grade 1, a 2. They might not win another race. They'll come back at 3 and win a couple of grade 1s, come back at 4, win a couple of grade 1s. He's just a master at winning the race as well. So for me, Love is the one. I'd be hoping Quadrilateral gets backed and you get maybe 6-1 on Love.
Yeah, I think the price is going to shorten a Quadrilateral the closer we get to the day.
Yeah, I can see her being a 7-4 shot, 30 days 7-4 shot.
Yeah, I think they're going to get stuck into her.
I can see Love running her race, as Dave said. I wouldn't knock her too much. She actually, as I said, I've got a couple to follow for Nace on Monday. Her form of that, her maiden victory.
See the way he got that in there.
The form of her maiden victory ties into one of those fillies. But yeah, she won the Moyglaire Stud Stakes over here in the Curragh. She's obviously a very high quality. She run her race.
Her sister Flattering as well. Got better kind of going up in trip as well, and made a better 3-year-old than she did a 2-year-old. So I think whatever Love was going to do with 2, she was going to improve for another year on her back.
Yeah, you're strong on it. I won't knock her, but I will. But I won't. Yeah, I'm. We all done with this? I'm Quadrilateral all day.
Love.
Yeah, I'm all over Quadrilateral. I think she could turn out to be a very smart filly.
Yeah. 2 over Quadrilateral. Dave wants a bit of Love.
Surprise, surprise.
Right, we'll head on to next. We will go to the Coronation Cup on Friday. So, this is a shot in the dark. The name Ghaiyyath. Is that right?
That was close enough to being right, yeah.
Ghaiyyath, I think, yeah.
Yeah, 3-2, Defoe 10-3, Stradivarius 7-2, Anthony Van Dyke 15-2, Broome 12-1 and 33-1 the other two. Who wants to take it?
I go first, sure, I don't mind. It's hard to make head nor tails in this race. Talent wise, Stradivarius is the best horse in it, but he can hardly win over 1 mile 4. I'd be majorly surprised. I'd be all for taking on the Godolphin horse. I think he's very short. Broome won the first race of his 3-year-old season by 8 lengths last year in the Ballysack Stakes. And then won the Derrinstown trial for the Derby and ran well in the Derby and kind of bombed out then in the Irish Derby. I haven't seen him since. He must have been sold because he's wearing different colours. If you look up his colours in the racing post or whatever, he's wearing some Japanese colour. So they obviously sold a share of him for maybe stud value to a Japanese owner. I'd go for him 12-1 each way. Like I said, there's a lot of Aidan O'Brien horses need their first run. He won by 8 lengths last year in his first run, so I take a chance with him. I think Anthony Van Dyke is gone with the game. He won the Derby, and then that was the end of that.
Yeah, I think this is a prep run for Stradivarius for the Gold Cup. The foe just doesn't strike me as a horse that's going to win this. Ghaiyyath, as short as he is, he looks the one that's improving at a rate of knots. His wins last time, he beat him out of sight. And the value is Broome at 12-1, but I would not be going near this race at all. I don't like the look of it at all. Tom, what do you think?
I think that Ghaiyyath is by far and away the most likely winner of this.
So do I, but yeah.
I'm just checking one thing here. Postman's pulled up. My dogs are about to go mental.
Mine's gone mental outside as it is.
Yeah, Defoe not too bad. I don't like Defoe. He's just a horse I've never taken to. I think he's always vulnerable to a very good horse. Anthony Van Dyke obviously won the Derby last year, but he's been so disappointing after that. You couldn't touch him with a bet. Stradivarius, last seen being beaten by Kew Gardens on British Champions Day. He was unbeaten in 10 runs before that. And what was quite interesting was the last time Stradivarius was beaten was also in the Stayers race on British Champions Day by Order St George. So I don't want to be someone who's saying, oh, he's gone at the game and whatever off the back of one loss by a nose. I actually really fancy the horse to get his Gold Cup crown back. I'm quite keen on him for that race. He's won on every start after a break, which is quite positive for this. The step back to 1 mile 4, especially on fast ground, is definitely the worry. I think if this was a bit softer, he might get away with it. But I think they'll be eyeing a prep run to winning the Gold Cup again at Ascot. So that leaves me with Ghaiyyath, who I think could be head and shoulders above these. Won the German Derby. Not head and shoulders above Stradivarius, but just if we take it that Stradivarius is going to need this run and needs a bit further. I think Ghaiyyath is definitely better than Defoe and definitely better than Anthony Van Dyke. Bolted up in the German Derby by 14 lengths. Was well fancied for the Arc, but I was watching that back last night. He was drawn, I think, widest of all. Yeah. And he came out of the stalls and just went straight until the bend. And he cut in, and he was actually leading the race. You can't do that in a Group 1, basically. It's tough to do that in any race, but you can't do that in a Group 1. So I'm happy to put a line through his Arc run. He then absolutely bolted up at Maiden by 8 lengths in February over a mile 2. He has also won on all of his starts after a break on Stradivarius. He goes very well fresh, this horse. He looks like he can be quite keen sometimes, so I'd say he does a lot at home himself. I wouldn't say he takes too much to get him fit. He goes on fast ground. He's proven that. I think a mile 4 is suiting fine, unless they go very hard gallop, but I can't see that happening either. And I know he's only 6-4, but I think he's going to be very hard to beat, to be honest.
Yeah, I'd be the exact same for you as that. Like, it baffles me how the foe was so short. He lacks that. He lacks that real class to you think he's going to even get past Stradivarius at that. And Stradivarius is bigger in the market. This is more or less his prep run to get his Gold Cup back next month or this month. Next month. When's Roy last?
This month. They said there. John Gosling basically said he's running them because he's trying to ride everything at home. That's basically. He said he knows he's a stallion now and he wants to do another job and he's too fresh, so we need to run him to get the freshness out of him.
There you go.
That's literally what he said.
I didn't see it. He's actually just on a completely different topic. He is a horse I would love to send a mare to and have a horse out of. Because what I love about him is the way he travels and then he has that turn of foot. Like he'll travel like 2 miles and then he has a turn of foot to pick up.
Yeah.
I think he's a high quality horse. I just think a 1.4 mile on fast ground. If Ghaiyyath is a Group 1 horse, which I think he is, he may just be found out by him. But if you had a national hunt mare, I think Stradivarius would be a lovely horse to send on to.
I think that's one for the syndicate.
Could be if we find a mare somewhere.
Yeah, we wrap this up quickly because it's just dragging on now. Ghaiyyath. I think Ghaiyyath is going to win.
Broom each way.
Yeah, Ghaiyyath for me. I think he'll win. Yeah.
Right, one more race we'll touch on is the Newmarket Stakes, where possibly 2 of the most exciting horses that coming out this year. Volking. Wallgeist's brother and Punctuation, the Queen's horse. Both bolted up last time out and both are very sharp for the Derby. I really like what Wallgeist's brother done.
Waldkönig.
Yeah, I was really impressed the way he won at Wolverhampton, even though he was so green and he hung so far out around the bend. But the time the camera angle went from them turning the bend to hitting the straight, he was gone. The blink of an eye. It was like, remember the time we were watching Bouvier in the Christmas hurdle?
Jumping hurdle.
He was on the other side before the camera angle. It was unbelievable. I think this fella could be very, very, very good. He's a bit sharp for the Derby though. He's 10th for the Derby.
What you want to do is back him on Friday or Saturday whenever he's running and back him to win that race and the Derby.
He's 6-4 favourite for it.
Your Andrew Bowden's horse is a lot bigger price than this thing. So if you fancy Andrew's horse, I'd be backing him.
Why? He's not going to win.
Yeah, Wildconnect, like he's by a lovely horse, but he's out of Kingman, who is a proper stallion.
Yeah.
As we said, half brother to Arc winner Wildgeist. He was very impressive on debut, and he was green, but that half worries me. It half worries me how green he was. He nearly went to hang off the bend, and he had to give him a slap down the neck. He beat nothing at Wolverhampton. I know he couldn't have been more impressive in doing so, but he beat nothing. There's no winners come out that race or nothing, right? If he's going to be that green again, he's going to have to grow up fairly sharpish if he's going to have this start and then win a Derby.
Oh, I never said he's going to win a Derby. I think he'll win Friday.
I mean, when I watched the race at Wolverhampton last year, I understand Tom, he didn't beat Anne, but it's Andrew's thing where it's the eye test thing, and it was just one of the most impressive victories of any horse last year because he was so green and the turn of speed. So he clearly has been given all the speed that his sire has, Kingman. So he has a turn of foot, and he's Valguy's brother, so he's going to stay 1.4 mile anyway, definitely. I think this thing is going to, and I wouldn't be the biggest fan of John Gosling and Frankie Dettori and all that. Everybody knows that.
Really? Never knew that.
When I first started watching racing, I don't think he could put any form into a Wolverhampton maiden, but Gosling sends loads and loads of good horses to the all-weather now. Enable one at Newcastle. He is not afraid to send decent horses to give him a bit of introduction and the all-weather, and then they go on to better things. I think this thing is going to be an absolute lunatic freak. Yeah. And I don't worry that he's green, Tom. I love that. I hope he tries to bite something.
He could be, and I'm definitely not knocking him just yet. But I want to see him go and do it again. I want to see him do it a bit more professionally. So the jury's that. Just if you're looking for a bet on Friday, is it Friday or Saturday the Newmarket Stakes?
1 second, we have a visitor.
More sweets, is it?
1 second.
Nah, no sweets.
1 second. Pause what you're going to say.
You can't find the sweets, Andrew.
He not happy.
Lesson in life, Dave. don't have kids.
The middle brother opened the door to let him in, as if so he wouldn't get in trouble, even though he knew what he was doing. Like, oh, it's the little fella.
We've all done that.
Wait, hold up.
Oh, he's back.
Wait, no. I'm into this part now.
No, it's funny.
I can't. No, okay, go on. Where are we?
You have to leave that in.
Okay, I'll leave it in, so. This is what happens when you work from home. I just can't get that done. Even when I'm working for Timber, I just can't get that done. Every 2 minutes I'm getting disturbed. Oh, where are we?
If you were looking for a bet for this race, there's a horse there. He's about third favourite, trained by John Gosden as well. Mishrif. 3 runs in the UK, all on heavy ground. Won a Nottingham Maiden by 10 lengths on heavy ground. They took him over to run in the Saudi Derby. That was on fast grounds, worth 360 grand to the winner. I think a Japanese horse or a Hong Kong horse won it. That's probably very good form, I'd say. It's interestingly improved for the fast ground. Ran to a very high RPR. He's rated 101 now, I think. John Gosden's team are in very good form. He's a half brother to 2 black type horses, so he has a pedigree as well. And if you're looking for one to run a race behind Walkenig, if he wins, I think he's a good each way bet 8 to 1.
Hold up now. I think. Oh no. I thought the other fellow was gone out of it, but he's not. Yeah, he's 7. He's 4th in the betting there. Between 7 and 9 to 1. Not a bad show.
He's a good each way bet. He'll run his race.
Yeah, that's not bad. Bit of experience behind him, back on ground that might suit him. Yeah.
And he ran on like the 29th of February, I think. So
should be fit-ish.
Yeah, it's not. That's only March, April, and May. I know it's still 3 months, but some of these horses haven't run since October and the like. So.
And experience counts for a lot at this time of year as well, on the flat especially.
Yeah, I just think if there's one there that might run well, it's probably him. So.
Yeah, I wouldn't knock that. I'm not going. I just want to watch this. This is going to be. He's either going to be an absolute fruitcake or an absolute monster. Either or, I can't wait to see what he does.
I'm looking forward to seeing it. I just hope he ends up being what I think he could be.
He's certainly exciting anyway. I'm as you said, I'm looking forward to watching it. I couldn't touch him with a penny of my money though.
No. Yeah, I think he'll win.
He'll win.
I'll take Mishrif each way against him.
Right, so that's our first preview done again. Now, on to Tom's corner. The non-runners, I mean the tips for Monday.
Come on, Tom, shout them out there.
2 to follow. So my tracker came up today. 2 to follow from last year, these are.
Hold up, where are we going?
We are going to Nice on Monday.
Okay, I'm ready.
I don't know what time, I can't remember.
What kind of percent?
Two maiden races. Edward Hopper is a horse who finished second to Royal Dornoch in his maiden. Had finished second at the Curragh previously. Had caught my eye at the Curragh and then ran very well again. Royal Dornoch has shown that form up to be very good. He is definitely capable of winning a maiden for Ger Lyons, who can definitely have one ready at the start of the season. So Edward Hopper is a horse to follow.
Edward Hopper.
The next one, type this one in now, because as I said, Siobhan, my much better half, her relatives live in Clare, and Ennis Diamond was in my tracker, and I couldn't remember was it because of the name or whether I thought she was a good horse. Okay. So I watched her maiden run back.
Where? What's it called?
Ennis Diamond.
That's it. Oh, there it is. Yeah.
No,
above that.
Oh my goodness!
Aidan O'Brien.
Go back and watch that mare run, that filly run.
I said, what'd you say? Ennis Diamond.
Ennis Diamond. It's called ENNISTYMON.
Oh yeah. Well, we're with you. Yeah, have him.
Right. It was ran in the same maiden that Love ran in. Love finished second in this maiden on Irish Derby weekend. She was outpaced towards the back of the field. Switched inside, presumably to get a bit of education by Shamie Heffernan, and ran ran on up the back of a bunch of horses, right?
Educational ride.
No, I'd say he said, right, I won't go down the outside, I'll run her through them and she'll get to see what it's like going through them. She'd no chance of winning from the position she was in. But he didn't want to get... The horses moved over and he didn't want to get her bumped, so he's moved her. He's ended up on the rail, stood up, and she's actually pulling. And he's actually sat back, like, pulling her back 2 furlongs out. And basically, for the last 2 furlongs, he sat up, pulling her head off. He's got a little gap, and he's let her go, and she's gone through them. She finished 7th. But my God, she could have finished bang there if she'd have had a better run. She's by Galileo. She's a half-sister to 3 horses that have run to RPRs of over 100. And all 3 of them are black tie. No, 4 horses that have run to an RPR of over 100. 3 of them are black tie. She's entered in the Irish Guineas, the Pretty Polly, and the Irish Oaks. And I'm going to see if I can get a price for her for the Irish Oaks before Monday. I reckon she's got the pedigree, and on the way she ran, she'll definitely win a maiden. And she could be anything.
You have to make a solid case for her now. You convinced me a bit there now.
I love her. I've watched the race about 5 times today now. It's just mad. You don't normally see that. Like,
I need to look at this now.
Keep your money now for Monday, Tom.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So, yeah, they're the 2 and the 2 to follow. They're both up to winning their maidens, definitely.
Right. So we'll finish off with the normal nap and next best of the weekend. It can be any race you want. Dave, nap.
Sangarius at Newmarket.
Tom?
Nap, Quadrilateral, 1,000 guineas.
Yeah, I'm Quadrilateral, 1,000 guineas. Next best?
Love, 1,000 guineas.
Royal Dornoch each way in a 2,000 guineas.
Jeez, I'm the same.
Oh, yeah.
I swear to God.
We're no use.
No. Right, no. If we fancy it, we fancy it. The hell with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Right. So that's us done. Our first video back for proper racing, and we will be back with 1,000, 2,000 guineas from Ireland next week. So again, thanks for watching, lads. Give us a like and subscribe, and we will see you again next week.